So remember all the problems that we saw in the 2020 election because of mail-in voting and registration and all that jazz? Well, Democrats are now trying to codify those problems into laws in the name of election integrity. This is The Brink. And folks, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this page if you like me. And if you like what we do here and you love America, well, you should also consider becoming a Daily Caller Patriot. You can subscribe at the link in the description below. So the new plan in Pennsylvania is that residents will automatically be enrolled to vote when getting their driver's license at the DMV unless they opt out. Now, they tell us that this is done to streamline the process, make it easier for people to vote. But you know what's also super cool and very interesting is that state Democrats have been working so hard to pass a bill so that illegal immigrants can get their driver's licenses. So to get this straight, Pennsylvania Democrats think that in order to make their election safer and prevent any chance of fraud, they should create a straight line between illegal immigrants and voting, with just a few DMV workers scattered in between. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, screams election integrity like doing that. And maybe they can take some pointers from California, who has already dealt with this type of issue. So on top of the more than 100,000 issues, yes, you heard that number right, 100,000, that California faced during their first year of rolling out automatic voter registration, the state also saw 1,500 people mistakenly register to vote because of automatic voter registration. Now you might be thinking, 1,500, it's kind of a small number, it doesn't really matter. But I urge you to remember, Lauren Boebert nearly lost her re-election campaign by less than 500 votes. So yes, every vote does count, including the 1,500 that shouldn't be there, right? Other issues included voters being registered to, wait for it, the wrong party. But I am sure that we can be very confident that Pennsylvania will, have no issues and it'll be great and seamless. And former President Donald Trump is, of course, being ridiculed by MSNBC for his Truth Social post in which he alleged that Democrats are trying to steal Pennsylvania through automatic voter registration. None of this made any sense, Stephen Bannon wrote. No one is trying to steal Pennsylvania. It wasn't stolen before. Now look, am I going to sit here and tell you that Pennsylvania was stolen in 2020? No. But will I say that Pennsylvania had serious flaws in 2020 that were never rectified and undoubtedly impacted the election? Yeah. I will never forget when then, at the time, Secretary of State Kathy Boockvar backed out of an agreement with the Supreme Court last minute to allow late ballots to be counted after she initially agreed to set them aside while the court heard a legal challenge. And was this issue ever rectified? Nope. Because the court later ruled that the case was moot. Now, good old Clarence Thomas, he dissented. He said that the case would have been a great opportunity for the court to address what authority, if any, unelected officials had to change election laws. But anyways, don't be disappointed if you aren't in Pennsylvania and you want to, get in on these safer elections, because New York decided that you can now request a mail-in ballot, no excuse needed, just 2 years after we voted down a constitutional amendment that would have already done that for us. And I don't know about you guys, but I thank the Lord above every day that our very competent state government knows better and is going forward anyway against the will of democracy in the name of election integrity. And all of this, it is coming in the nick of time because election integrity expert Hillary Clinton is back to warn us that Russians are going to steal the election.
I don't think, despite all of the deniers, there's any doubt that he interfered in our election.
Now, contrary to popular belief, she is not talking about President Biden or the 51 intelligence officials who lied to us about the Hunter Biden laptop weeks before the 2020 election to sway the public. She's actually talking about Vladimir Putin. So if you had any, fears or concerns that Democrats are trying to change election laws months before the presidential election to sway it in their favor, just know you're wrong, okay? Because they're actually doing it to stop Putin from stealing your vote. So thank you. And speaking of stealing things, Democrats in California want to steal your Second Amendment right. So the state's Attorney General, Rob Bonta, he filed an appeal on Friday after a judge ruled that the state's ban on detachable magazines is unconstitutional. Now, this is a tremendous victory because the state said that any detachable magazine that holds more than 10 rounds is illegal. And that has been, the law in California since 2000. But finally, the court ruled, in light of Bruen, that this was an egregious violation of power power and that the Second Amendment had been violated. Woe to the victim who runs out of ammunition before armed attackers do, Judge Roger Benitez wrote in his decision. But Bonta isn't going down without a fight, letting those law-abiding citizens have a fighting chance against the criminals running roughshod over California. Well, that would be a threat to public safety. So instead, he is asking the Ninth Circuit Court to weigh in and restrict our rights. Understand that for a second, okay? And this is in many such cases nationwide. You have a public official actually begging a court to strip you of your right. And I say it again because we are talking about a public official, right? Someone who is meant to uphold the supreme law of the land is asking a court to take away your right. Thomas Jefferson once said, "No free man shall ever be debarred the use of arms." And yet here we are. And not just in California, right? This is nationwide. States across the country, we are being told that we don't deserve the Second Amendment. We don't deserve our right to keep and bear arms. And I think the larger thing that we need to focus on when we talk about the Second Amendment is we need to revitalize that ethos that Americans had at the time the Constitution was adopted, right? One of pure distrust and disgust with our government, right? One that saw Americans willingly take up arms because they knew, and I am paraphrasing Thomas Jefferson here from a 1787 letter, but that in order to preserve our liberties, the rulers, our government, needs to be put on notice that, quote, their people preserve the spirit of resistance. Because folks, walking around with, some pretty glitter signs and cool catchy chants, it doesn't really send the message to the government that we mean business. But millions of law-abiding citizens who are willing to go down to defend their rights, well, now we're talking. You guys can tune in tomorrow for more on The Brink. And remember, like, comment, and subscribe.